name is Cindi. I am at Simply Cindi. I'm going to take you guys back to um, June 29th and July 1st. I'm going to do a recap, and then we're going to come up to the present because we had a big movement yesterday. Chiron went retrograde yesterday. Because this is important. This is important. And I said it in the other live. Where our focus goes, energy flows, right? So that's the first thing. That's why I'm bringing it all the way back to like ourselves. Wherever our focus goes, energy flows, right? So what are we going to be experiencing? What are you going to be experiencing, right? There's so much to talk about. I'm going to take you back to June 29th and July 1st. So June 29th, Saturn retrograded at, let me just take you back there real quick. Hold on. So June 29th, Saturn went retrograde at 19 degrees, right? Bear with me. This is all going to make sense. So June 29th, the end of June, Saturn went retrograde. I know we started feeling it. We had to become more aware of what we believe. Is it true what I'm seeing? Why am I having to work hard with the abilities that I have? All of that stuff, right? I still have not gotten to make that video. Then we go to July 1st. And July 1st, oops, sorry. Sorry. Then we go to July 1st, right? So July 1st, not at that time. It was at a different, it's July 1st. It was just at a different time. So I'm going to go to July 2nd. So some places it was July 1st, some places it was July 2nd, right? So by the 2nd, let's just say by July 2nd, we had both Neptune and Saturn retrograde, right? On top of, we had Pluto retrograde, right? And so in Pluto retrograde, we know that everything that Pluto showed us is he's having us go over it again, right? I've talked a lot about Pluto. I'll continue to talk a lot about Pluto. Some of you may not like that by years in. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that's all it talks about is Pluto. I'm sorry, I'm channeling. That's all I can do. I can only give you what I get, right? So anyway, by July 2nd, we had Neptune retrograde. And then we had Saturn retrograde, right? And I've said this before. I'm going to say this again. Here's the thing. We think of Saturn as reality. We think of Saturn as materializing what we work hard for. He's father time, so he's in time and in space. Does that make sense? So he's the very practical, responsible, structured, like Capricorn, right? And then we have Neptune, who is the complete opposite, is boundless, is spiritual, is connected to the other realms. That's the way we think of them, right? But here's the thing. If you want a bigger understanding so that you can see different perspectives of the way that it's going to come out in your house and the way that it's going to come out globally in society, we have to remember, just because Saturn is strict, how do I say this? So here's the thing. You can think of, and this is what I got from Saturn and Neptune, right? Because I told you, as a medium, their characters, their personalities, and they could speak to me, right? Not in language that we have, but they speak to me. Saturn is reality. Saturn is what we consider reality, but let me just say this. Saturn is playing the part of reality when he's really not. And Neptune is playing the part of non-reality and spiritual when they're not. Does that make sense? So what we consider reality is Saturn, because what we consider reality is here. But on a bigger spectrum, that is not true. Saturn is disguising himself as reality, and Neptune is disguising herself as non-reality. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? Saturn is real is Saturn is yeah. Saturn, how do I say that? Saturn is Saturn has bigger parameters than we're giving him credit for. I can say it that way. Does that make sense to people? Hi, Karina. He's Saturn is spiritual. Saturn is more, but he's disguising himself as reality because that's the way that we see him because he's in time and space. Yes, going to get my chart. Okay, good. Um, and then Neptune, who all we think of as boundless, is the actual reality, right? So Saturn is disguising himself as reality, and Neptune is disguising herself as non-reality, as bigger, as better, as but if we look at it from our soul level, this is not reality. This is somewhat of a type of reality where we come from is the reality. Does that make sense? Does that make better sense? I hope that makes sense. So you have to think of from our perspective here on Earth in the body, from our brain, we think of Saturn as the reality. We think of Saturn as bringing reality into material when this is not even the reality. The reality is somewhere else. The reality is the core of us, right? Which is Neptunian, right? Saturn just knows how to structure all that when it comes through Saturn. And I'm saying all this because there's going to be points, there's going to be parts of you. I know this is getting really deep and I'm trying to conceptualize it for you. There's going to be parts of you that are going to be wondering what they believe in, why they believe in this, what's going on with this, right? I'll give you an example. Say you were a Christian and you were born a Christian and then your family's a Christian and that's all you've known is to be Christian. But the whole time, and this is actually personal action now that I think about it. The whole time you're like, yeah, it's more than that. You're questioning it. You're questioning it. You're questioning. I don't believe in just this structure. I don't believe in what I'm being told. I don't see it. And you've questioned it all your life. This is just an example, right? And for as you get older and able to make your own choices, you decide you're not a Christian, right? But you have this um, thing in you that wants to abide by, wants to honor your family, and so you have this turmoil going on of I want to be a Christian, but I see that it's more. But I want to be a Christian because I don't want to dishonor my family, or I don't want to upset, you know, my spouse or my parents or my grandparents, and they've done nothing wrong, but I just see it as different, right? Um, you can say if you were gay, um, you know, um, you want to be, if you had that thing going on inside. I'm not, so I don't know. Please forgive me if I don't say it correctly. Remember, I'm a different generation. Um, so please be kind to me. But you want to be straight, but you can't be straight. But you want to be straight because you don't want to dishonor and you don't want to go outside of society and you don't want to, upset your parents and you don't want to. But you know that you're not straight, right? It's like that, and we're going to have these points for the next year or so, especially in 2020. Yeah, the end of 2024 and into 2025. And that's why I'm talking about don't think of Saturn as just being strict, as just being father time. He's got other sides to him. And what he's saying the way that he said it to me, and the way that I understood it, let's just say that, the way that I understood it is, I am disguising myself as the reality, and Neptune is disguising herself as the spiritual, where I'm really not the actual reality, right? Where we can connect. That makes sense? So you may wonder, why can't I be straight? Or why can't I just be a Christian? Or why can't I just be a Muslim? I mean, put a name to any religion. It doesn't matter. Why am I having this struggle? Right? And it's because, and that's what's going to be happening over this next, that's what's happening now. We're trying to figure out, like, we have been told to be something, and we want to honor those people, but we can't. We would be forgetting ourselves. We would not be authentic. And that is the big message, is authenticity, right? It's important for us to be authentic to where we're going, right? And so with Saturn retrograde and Neptune retrograde, it's causing us to really peel off those layers, because the answer is that you're all of it. You've just chosen at this time to be a certain thing, but you can change that with understanding, right? And that's what Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces retrograde at 29 degrees. So look at Neptune. She's at 29 degrees. We are ending a belief system, right? We are ending an understanding and coming to a different understanding. For a lot of us, for many of us, I would say for all of us, actually, for all of us, we have been bogged down and made to feel a certain way, and made to think a certain way, and made to have a certain structure, and made to have a certain culture, and made to, because we were born in that. We don't want to upset people. How can, they're not doing anything wrong, but how could I believe differently? All of that, right? And because of that, we put a defense mechanism, or you can say we put a mask on. We put a mask on. Okay, I feel this way. This is the way that I believe, but it doesn't matter, because I don't want to upset people. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna put the mask on, and I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna be whatever it is. I'm gonna be straight, or I'm gonna be this religion, or I'm gonna be that religion, or I'm gonna be whatever, right? And so for so long we have put those masks on. And what I'm getting from a lot of this is, where we're going, there doesn't need to be the mask. But, and it's not just one mask that we have lots of masks, right? So we're like peeling off the mask. And that's what's going on with this Neptune and Saturn right now retrograde. It's causing you to like think and really see and really believe what you believe. There is no right or wrong. Okay, you just had to do it a certain way because you were born from your, so here's the thing, from the other side, this is the way they show me, from the other side, when you are energy, you are spirit, right? You don't have, you're not bogged down by all of this masking, all of this stuff in your DNA, because you don't have the DNA, your energy, right? And what we do as we're evolving, or as it's not even evolving over there, it's just sort of, this is what I want to do next, because I really kind of want to experience that. I want to understand that. And I want to help, right? And so you're born into a lineage, right? And because we're all one, it doesn't mean that you never were that lineage. It just means at this time on this earth, when you were born, we came through to be into the vessel, into the meat suit. My husband used to call it the meat suit. And with that comes the memory of the DNA of the lineage, right? And so this lineage believes that you have to be a Christian, or you have to be a Muslim, or you have to be a whatever, a Buddhist or whatever, right? But your soul is like, I don't think I have to. Like, that's not what I believe, right? And so, but it's not like you didn't do that on purpose. It could be, and I'd have to look at your chart, or we'd have to connect you with hypnosis or whatever. It could be that you came to either change that or you came to grow into that, right? Only you know that because it's you, it's your path, it's your path. That's why I used to call my channel your indigo path, right? Your clear path. Um, so Kathy says, as a teenager, I saw a whole. Sorry, I got to read it from the other one. Sorry, Kathy. As a teenager, I always saw holes in teachings. Yes, exactly. It's true. And you saw them because you're meant to question it. You're meant to try to understand from a different perspective because that's what you wanted to do. Now, there's several layers to that. Is it because you wanted to help this particular lineage? Is it because you've been in this lineage before and you came to finish that? Is it like it's different? And that's why I do hypnosis too, because you can kind of see, oh, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I'm trying to understand, right? But this, getting back to the astrology, because I'm telling you, there's so much. I'm going to have to take breaks. But I really wanted to delve into this Pisces, Neptune, and Saturn retrograde right now. So what this is doing is saying, what do I believe? I'm going to stand up, not what my parents believe, not what I was brought up to believe, not but what I've actually seen over my life. What do I believe? And am I believing that because I was told that and then I saw some evidence of that and so now I believe that? Or am I going to connect to myself, my higher self, my whole self, my truth, right? Because truth is a perspective, my truth, where my soul comes from. And what is my belief going to be, right? And and am I going to stand up for that? Am I going to be responsible, which is Saturn? Am I going to see it from both sides, which is Neptune and Saturn in Pisces house, which allows you, because that's Pisces, will allow you to see both sides, all sides, right? So Pisces to me is the vessel that's helping these two parts of you come together. Does that make sense? That may be like way out there. I'm sorry. I start channeling and I'm trying to conceptualize it and bring it back down here. But I haven't gotten to do this video, and I really wanted to do a video on Saturn itself and Neptune itself. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that in time. And I know we have a year, but still. Okay, so I want you to. So, what Saturn is saying is be kind to yourself. I am not just the rigid time. I am here to help you. All I'm asking you as I help you is to tell me what you really want, how you really believe. And telling me through the voice, telling me, like saying it, meditating, saying it, writing it is those are only one or two ways to let me know. What I really need from you is the way that the universal language is, right? The universe hears you, speaks to you. Like I tell you, they speak to me, but it's not our language. I need you, Saturn is saying, I need you to take some action to let me know that's where you want to go. That's what you believe. That's where you want to go. And then I will help you and open that up. But I already know, as Saturn, you're going to say, I believe in this. And then I'm going to stop you and make you work for it. And you're going to be like, oh, well, I really didn't believe in that. I kind of believe in this. Like he knows us. He's part of us, right? We're part of him. He's part of us. So he's like, I'm going to test you to see if you believe this. And if you're faking it, You can still fake it and make it, but if you're faking it, if the one test makes you stop, then you really didn't want that. Because when your heart is in it and you really believe in something, you're not gonna stop. And that's my language. That's what Saturn is saying. I know that sounds like I know what I'm sounding like, but it's the only way that I can tell you guys. Like, I'm trying to get you to get a different perspective of how these planets and what they're doing right now with their energies. They're here to help us. Where Neptune is like, it's all open. The you have this universe and other verses. You have this universe, you have other dimensions. You are an all knowing, all omnipotent, omniscient being. What do you here? It's all for you. And Saturn's like, well, we can't bring it all here, right? So you got to tell me what part you want here. That's what I'm good at. That's what Saturn's saying. I just need you, because that's Saturn. I need you to be responsible. I need you to be clear, and I need you to take action. And that's kind of what's going on. This is what I've been talking about. He just wants to know what you believe, because there's a bigger picture, another layer going on, which is us moving into a better society, us moving into where we don't have to mask, where we won't offend people because of our belief, where we don't have to like lie about something. I hope that makes sense. So that started July 2nd. Okay, that's just a part of it. And I know some of you are gonna have to watch this again. I'm trying. It's so hard when I'm trying to bring concepts from above, from different dimensions, into our brain. So I apologize if I'm not doing it correctly, but it is who I am. So either you'll understand when you understand, or you won't. You know.